Hey friends, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today I'm going to show you guys a little bit behind the scenes of my research process. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com, where usually you can get our latest content, but if you see here, this is about a week old. Oops, my bad. I need to update it with our most recent content from last week, but generally you can get everything ahead of time. And also, if you're planning on being in Acapulco and still haven't bought your ticket next month in Acapulco, Mexico, you can click right here and get 10% off. Also, sign up for our email newsletter if you want to get our content directly to your inbox. And in fact, I'll be sending out the newsletter today. So sign up for that. So this video is coming from a couple of different places. For one, I've had several people suggest to me over the years to show them how I research things. Now, I don't want to sit here and claim or act as if I'm some expert in researching. I'm sure maybe some of you guys who are going to see this will be laughing and saying, wow, that's it? That's all you do? And might have some better techniques, and please share them with me so we can all become better researchers. But I do seem to have a knack for finding information, and typically it's just because I don't know how to give up, so I keep trying, and then eventually I find what I'm looking for. I've gotten pretty good at finding people whenever I'm trying to find them. You know, the internet, you have a lot of information out there about people. Sometimes there are services you might want to pay for, but my point is I have my own little tips and tricks, and every researcher and journalist out there, probably investigative journalist, probably has their own little tips that they use. But I figured it would be worth sharing some of mine with you guys because I want my audience to be as skilled in researching as I am, so that we're not dependent on James Corbett or Derrick Broze or anybody to do research. And sometimes I will say, when I was using social media, I would have people message me privately and say, hey man, do you know if this is true? And they'd send me a story, and within a minute or two I could easily find out whether it was true or not. And it would just surprise me, like, what, are we just using the internet differently? And maybe we are. So I also had an email recently, just kind of put that thought in my head, from Michael Reeves out there in New York. What's up, brother? Really awesome supporter that I've got to know in the last year or so. And he was just suggesting a few different videos, and I'm going to end up doing these. He gave me 5 solid suggestions, and this is the first one, is to show my research process for other people to see what I do. So without further ado, this is what I'm thinking here, guys. I have chosen a topic that I often see pop up in the YouTube comments or on wherever, social media, people making a claim, stating that this is true. And this happens often, in my videos, my research, I'll notice different comments, whatever the topic will be, people will say, hey, this claim is true, or you forgot to include this information. And oftentimes the information they're referencing isn't something that I forgot. It's something that I've come across in my own research, but I didn't find enough valid, factual evidence, documented evidence to back it up, or I didn't feel comfortable with the information that was available, and I chose that, I have enough points already, I'll just leave that, kind of controversial or unproven point out of the research I'm doing, the article or the documentary or whatever it is, right? And eventually, though, I find my way to looking down these rabbit holes, and this is usually how I operate. Like, let's say Pizzagate, hugely controversial. I've done a couple of videos on Pizzagate over the years, but I waited for a long time. I kept hearing about it, and people mentioned the phrase. I didn't even know what it meant. And then eventually I'm like, okay, let me do my own research and see what I can come up with. And that's how I operate on a lot of these topics. So I have a few of these topics lined up that I need to either prove or disprove for myself, so that the next time somebody comments, I can say, hey, actually, I did look into that, and here's my video on that showing that it's false or showing that it's true. And also so that I can know whether I want to reference that information in the future, right? So what the heck am I talking about? We're going to look at a claim that I often see pushed out towards Jeffrey Epstein. You guys know that I released the Jeffrey Epstein documentary, Bringing Down Jeffrey Epstein, November 1st, which, by the way, thank you everybody who supported. We've got 235,000 views, and that's amazing. And in every one of my Jeffrey Epstein videos, without pause, there's always a comment about Jeffrey Epstein being connected to Israel or the Mossad. Here we go. Wow, an excellent encapsulation of the entire sordid affair. But don't forget, Epstein is clearly working with the CIA/Mossad to help brownstone, frame, and then blackmail important people, and thus will always be immune from any real prosecution. That is the secret. The Clintons, too. They are protected for life by the CIA/Mossad. So there's that one. And then in this video, here's another Epstein video, Zionism. Ghislaine Maxwell has direct ties to Mossad. So again, I see these claims pop up, and that's in my Epstein-Dershowitz-Spacey connection. And I see it here. Here's another one. Awesome work. Trump likes little girls. Epstein hustled to please and had Mossad up his ass to do so. And reason why American politicians are sending Israel millions of dollars. So it goes on to say that basically Israel's behind things. And I see these things often. You know, they're saying that, you know, it's the Jews, or, you know, they're saying it's Israel. And I definitely, obviously there's a huge Zionist influence. And I've talked with people about this, Christopher Bolin, about Israel's influence on 9/11 and the Zionism that we see in the U.S. and really around the world. And why is it that Israel has such a powerful influence, right? So I understand that there is some factual research to that. But I don't know for certain, when people are making these claims, that Epstein is a Mossad agent or connected to Israel or to, and for those who don't know, Mossad is the Israeli spy agency, like their CIA over there. And I actually did a kind of video like the one we're working on right here. Did Trump ban Epstein from Mar-a-Lago? Because the same thing, I kept seeing people comment over and over about this claim that Trump had actually kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, his club. And if you watch that video, you can see that I was able to find that is not 100% certain. We don't know that conclusively. So I'm hoping to do the same video on this. So you'll see an additional video in addition to the one you're listening to right now that is just the facts of the claim. But now we're going to look behind. So let's look into this. I haven't pulled up anything yet. I haven't opened a search bar or done anything right now. I'm currently using Chrome, unfortunately, at the moment because it's a little bit faster than my other browser. And I use DuckDuckGo for searching. You can also use quant.com, which is a European search engine, supposed to be better for privacy. And let's start there. Let's start by searching on DuckDuckGo and Quant, you know, because I don't like to support Google if I don't have to. But unfortunately, Google has so much information about us and about the world that sometimes you're better served going there for your research, at least to start. So let's go into this. Let's see. Jeffrey Epstein. Let's see. Jeffrey Epstein. I'm searching Jeffrey Epstein. Israel. Mossad. And let's just start there and see what comes up. And we'll do the same thing over here in Quant. Jeffrey Epstein, Israel, Mossad. And we'll see what happens in these cases. Alright, so we're getting blogs, Jeffrey Epstein, Mossad, and 9/11. Now, some of these are deep, deep rabbit holes, right? So you might have to go down certain... This might take more time than I have to do on a video, but we're going to have to check this out right now. This is all you can see, the blogosphere. EmpireExposed.blogspot, Angerfana.blogspot, Reddit, Harrods. Oh, wait, let's see if they got something. Orgy Island, Back in the News, Political Lovecraft. Like, these are really small, random blogs, right of the right. Alright, so we'll check out what I got there, and then let's go look at Quant right here. Quant says, Chapter 14, The Jeffrey Epstein Scandal, Anatomy of the Zionist Illuminati Sexual Blackmail System. Wow, like, I don't know what this is, but it could be something worth looking at. And that's the thing, is don't be disturbed, or don't always ignore the crazy sounding and looking blogs. Like, definitely open up. You might end up with 10 tabs deep to try to understand what's going on, because a lot of times the truth is hidden deep in the, you know, the deep web, or just in the dark corners of the internet where search engines don't usually look, and where most people typically don't tread as well. So it's important for us to understand that. And let me see. Okay, so we got a Veterans Today article, and I generally think Veterans Today is propaganda, but we'll open that up. And we got an above top secret from the forum. So, all right. So we got all these different links. We got 5 different links now open up from the DuckDuckGo site and from Quant Search. Let's see what we find here. Does anyone else think Jeffrey Epstein is Mossad? So rumors are now circulating that there will be a sordid, if not downright historic, Epstein, Weiner, Clinton revelation in the coming days. This was 2 years ago. That will finally bring down the Clintons. Yeah, people have been hoping for the Clintons to come down for 2 years. It's funny you guys keep falling for that. All right, but let me just see. Okay, when Epstein was arrested, the rumor in New York was that he was going to flee to Israel. So the rumor, who started that rumor? Where does this person hear about the rumor? I don't understand. Epstein's black book contains the personal phone numbers of several former Israeli prime ministers. Now, that is a claim that we can fact check. We can pull up the black book, which I've linked to in the documentary, and we can actually look at it. It's been put online. So we'll hold on to that for a moment. That's something that you might. Will that prove anything? Not necessarily. Just like the fact that Epstein has all kinds of people's phone numbers in his little black book doesn't necessarily mean that they're child molesters and things like that. But it just shows his connections, right? The pre-scandal Vanity Fair article expresses puzzlement over how Epstein built his fortune. Yep, there is definitely questions about where he actually got his money from. J. Epstein Company was set up via a $1 billion grant from Victoria's Secret owner Leslie Wexner, whose father, Harry Wexner, changed from Hagen Wexelstein, was a secretive millionaire. Epstein's other partner in crime, Ghislaine Maxwell, who you guys will remember, Ghislaine Maxwell is the woman who got the young girls to help him get his access to these young girls. Who's the daughter of a notorious Mossad agent, Robert Maxwell. Now, this is the main claim that I keep hearing over and over, and we're gonna focus on that, I think, because that seems to be the crux of what everybody keeps telling me, is that look, his partner in crime, his girlfriend / madam, and his sex rings is the daughter of an Israeli agent. Does that again alone prove anything? No, not necessarily. I mean, we're going to look into that and see if, okay, well, there's a loose connection, right? But that on its own doesn't prove anything. And it's important to understand that, guys. When Epstein was busted, he was given the sweetheart deal of a lifetime. Hidden cameras were found throughout his Florida home. Presumably, cameras were also present on the flights and on the island. And it is true that there were apparently hidden cameras on the islands and that they were definitely in the house. Now, I know some of you are going to say, yeah, have you seen the YouTube video where they show the hidden cameras from Epstein's island? And that's another one I should probably fact check, and I guess I'll kind of just say it here. I don't buy it. There's no proof. There's no evidence at all. I've just briefly looked into that. There's nothing that conclusively says this came from Epstein's island. It's just a bunch of black and white grainy pictures, and it may be real, and it may be some fucked up thing going on, but we don't have proof that it's from Epstein. So, yeah. This seems pretty cut and dry to me. Actually, this person obviously accepts things on a less, they don't have a very high standard for truth. Epstein was recruited by Mossad to run a hottie operation in order to ensnare and blackmail U.S. and international elites. The bait was underage girls and possibly even children, given the frequent trips to Thailand. And Hillary Clinton is connected to, they're saying her top 5 donors are Zionist. Oddly, Epstein has claimed that he helped found the Clinton Foundation. Exactly. Was he just bragging about his relationship with Bill? Okay. So, yeah. It's interesting. Like, right? There's not really anything strong. Let's see here. He wouldn't be official Mossad to work for them. Let's see. This might be a link. You've identified the core problem. One of the mechanisms of the Anglo-Zionist empire to take over the U.S. All right. If he's not Mossad, he's part of something. I knew about the Wexner connection, but not Harry Wexner Hagen Wexelstein. See Safari Club, a group of multiple intelligence agencies formed after the Church Committee investigations, formed specifically to bypass oversight legal considerations. You have a parallel intelligence service operating outside the knowledge of the official intelligence services. Wow, I've never heard of that. This might be something new. See, this is what happened. You start digging into one thing, you learn all kinds of things. Whether Mossad or something else, I'm on board with all you've written. The only question is, who was he working for? The Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, so that's the main crux, is that connection. He doesn't have to be military-trained Mossad member. There'll be plenty of room. Okay, He also hangs out with Adnan Khashoggi, the shady Israeli arms merchant. You left out the fact that not only the Clintons, but Trump is also a good friend of his. Yeah, exactly. FYI, Trump is also heavily implicated. Every single politician spent time with Epstein should be removed from office. Now, this one says from a website called Jews News, which I'm not sure how you want to click. U.S. politicians on video with underage sex slaves. I don't know. We'll maybe check that out in a moment. Trump controlled by Mossad. Okay, so we got more than enough links here, right? So this goes on. That's pretty much the end of it right there. So we're going to just click a couple of these links. We got more than enough now open to dive into. As you guys can see, we're 15 minutes in now, one topic, and we're getting deep. All right, so let's see. Let's start with our first one. Times of Israel. I don't know how much you want to trust this necessarily, but let's see what they got. Hollywood producer Arnon Milchan reveals past as secret agent. Filmmaker, long rumored to be real-life James Bond, talks about how he helped Israel's alleged nuclear program. An acclaimed American-Israeli producer revealed details of his efforts to boost Israel's alleged nuclear program. So he was involved with Fight Club, Pretty Woman, LA Confidential, and he gave an exclusive interview to this reporter where he basically says that he was undercover helping Israel with arms deals while also working with Hollywood. So I had to spend half an hour explaining that I'm not an arms dealer. Aside from setting up arms dealer, he also tried to get other Hollywood figures into his clandestine work, including Sidney Pollack. So I guess the person linked to this just kind of showing that this kind of thing happens, that Israel does have secret, undercover agents involved in this. And apparently this guy's friends with everybody from Ben Affleck, Robert De Niro, and Russell Crowe. Interesting bit, not really related, but I guess it can provide some context. Safari Club was an alliance of intelligence services formed in '76 that ran covert operations around Africa at a time when the U.S. Congress had clipped the CIA's wings over years of abuses, including, of course, overthrowing governments and, MK Ultra and infecting the media. The club executed a successful military intervention in Zaire in response to an invasion from Angola. It provided arms to Somalia. So basically, they get in trouble and they start something called the Safari Club, where they just go out there and do a bunch of other crazy things in the world without people knowing. And I mean, this shows you that the agents, the intelligence agencies, do whatever the hell they want. I don't know that this is directly related to Israel, but this might be something for a later research topic. I'm going to put that one aside. Trump controlled by Mossad. Now we get into the blogosphere, right? And see what things look like. There's Ghislaine Maxwell, which was Epstein's madam, the one who helped him get young girls, with Trump, and Getty Images. That is from 1997. Wow, and this is a 5-part article here. Trump controlled by Mossad. I'm just going to search for Epstein and see what they have about Epstein. Okay, Epstein's name appears 81 times, so this could be quite a read. Ghislaine Maxwell is the daughter of late British parliamentarian and media magnate Robert Maxwell, also a Jewish Mossad super Saiyan, prior to his assassination on November 5th, 1991. Maxwell is not only a personal friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton, but also of Donald Trump. Of course, we know the story of Epstein. We don't need to go over that. We've already seen my documentary. We see there's Ghislaine Maxwell with Virginia Roberts and with Prince Andrew. Obviously, this lady's involved with helping him get all kinds of young girls. And look, you can see the distance between Epstein's house, which I've been to, and the Mar-a-Lago Club right there. Very close. And let's see. How do we know, though? What's the actual Mossad connections? Let me see here. What is the... Okay, while Epstein would want dirt on powerful people other than his own personal gain is a mystery, we can only conclude that he was gathering dirt on behalf of some other party, likely the Mossad and or for Israel's desk at the CIA. Now look, I'm not saying these kinds of things don't happen, dude. I'm just saying, you see how easy these people make leap connections, and this is what I consider real conspiracy theorists. And I'm down to speculate, and I let you guys know when I'm speculating. But as time goes on, more and more, if I'm going to make content, I want truth. I want to document the things I'm looking for. So when he says we can only conclude, that's not the only conclusion that you can come to. I mean, I'm playing the skeptic here right now. I'm being devil's advocate. Yes, I know that Dershowitz is Jewish, and Dershowitz, supports the state of Israel, and Epstein supports the state of Israel, and Clinton supports the state of Israel, and Trump supports the state of Israel, and they're all tied to Epstein, and they all are accused of different things and have gotten off since Epstein's gotten off. And of course, Trump helped Epstein via Trump's labor secretary, I should say. But that we don't have any, documents, any kind of hard proof that says that Epstein is an agent of the Mossad. The only connection I'm really seeing people pull out is Ghislaine Maxwell and her dad, Robert Maxwell. And we could go ahead and fact check that and see if that's true. Did her dad really, was he really Robert Maxwell, and did he really play this role? And that may be true. Let me search Maxwell. But that also still doesn't prove that she was an agent of Israel. So, I don't know. At worst, Trump was helping the Epstein-Maxwell procurement of young, disadvantaged girls. I'm just clicking through here to see what all I find about Maxwell. In early 2015, a photo emerged showing Ghislaine Maxwell at the wedding of Chelsea Clinton to the Jewish investment banker Mark Mizvinsky in July 2010. I want to point out that I think this website I'm on is like some anti-Jewish stuff, so I don't have a problem with Jews at all. Just looking for details, and if you really want to find the truth, sometimes you got to go to some crazy places. There she is right there in the wedding photo. So she's obviously still connected to the Clintons, just as far back as 3 years ago. And let me see. Maxwell's daughter, the high-class madam, court papers say she facilitated Prince Andrew's acts of sexual abuse. We can look a little bit further into that. But, I mean, you guys get what I'm going at here. So far, the only proof or evidence that could even be construed as tying them to Israel is her dad. And then, of course, they said that there was some connections between some bankers, Israeli bankers, that were connected to Epstein, that he was friends with, or that, and you know, okay, so this is the main things. Let me restate this just to be clear. People are saying Epstein has former prime ministers of Israel in his little black book. Again, tangential relationships, not Harvard evidence. Then what else we got? We got Ghislaine Maxwell and her relationship with her dad, and her dad being an Israeli agent, potentially maybe bringing her into the family business, right? And then that means that if so, the whole operation that she was running with Epstein could have been some type of honeypot, and she could have been a way to catch people and lure powerful people in, right? So the little black book, the Ghislaine Maxwell, and then the banker, Israeli banker connection, right? And these are enough relationships where we should start saying, there's something there, right? But it doesn't prove it without a shadow of a doubt. Ms. Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, the cherished daughter of crooked tycoon Robert Maxwell, is no stranger to scandal. Her world came crashing down in 1991 when her father plunged to his death from the deck of his 15 million pound yacht. Let me see here. If there's anything else worth reading. She fled to New York to escape the Fuhrer in Britain. It was in America that she met Epstein, becoming his girlfriend for a time. So that's the story, is that her dad dies and she leaves Britain and comes to the U.S. and meets Epstein. Here she is, very young, with her father and mother 4 years before his death. It doesn't mention anything about him being a Mossad agent. So even maybe the whole idea that he was a Mossad agent is just being kind of assumed or again guessed by some tangential connections. Let's see if we can find a Wikipedia page. And obviously Wikipedia doesn't tell you all the truth. I understand that, but this is a starting point to find out who is this Robert Maxwell. Here we go. Robert Maxwell, British media proprietor and member of parliament. Originally from Czechoslovakia, rose from poverty due to built an extensive publishing empire. After his death, huge discrepancies in his finances were revealed, including fraudulent misappropriation. He escaped Nazi occupation. Let's just get to the real stuff. He had a yacht. And it says he was notably litigious and often embroiled in controversy, including about his support for Israel at the time of the 1948 Palestinian War. In 1989, he had to sell successful businesses to cover some of his debts. And they say that his death triggered the collapse of the publishing empire as banks called in loans. And they had filed for bankruptcy by 1992. The Mossad allegations. Here we go. The Israel connection. A hint of Maxwell's service to the state was provided by John Loftus and Mark Ahrens, who described Maxwell's contacts with Czechoslovak, anti-Stalinist communist leaders in 1948. So he was apparently choosing Israeli sides on that war. It was Maxwell's covert help in smuggling aircraft parts into Israel that led to the country having air supremacy. So he helped Israel during the war and smuggled weapons to them, aircraft parts. And so he may have maintained a relationship after that, following, the end of that war and into his life as a publisher, right? He could have still had all of these Israeli connections, and maybe that influenced his work. Let's see here. Shortly before his death, a former employee of Israel's military intelligence directorate, Ari Ben Manash, approached a number of news organizations in Britain and the U.S. with the allegation that Maxwell and the Daily Mirror's foreign editor Nicholas Davies were both longtime agents for Mossad. Ben Manash also claimed that in 1986, Maxwell had told the Israeli embassy in London that Mordecai Vanunu had given information about Israel's nuclear capability to the Sunday Times. He was subsequently kidnapped by Mossad and smuggled to Israel and convicted of treason and imprisoned for 18 years. Wow. That's pretty interesting. So Ben Menashe's story was ignored at first, but eventually the New Yorker journalist Seymour Hersh, who I greatly respect, repeated some of the allegations during a press conference in London held to publicize the Samson option, Hersh's book about Israel's nuclear weapons. On October 21st, 1991, two MPs, Labour's George Galloway and Conservatives Rupert Allison, agreed to raise the issue in the House of Commons under a parliamentary privilege protection, which in turn allowed British newspapers to report events without fear of libel suits. Maxwell called the claims ludicrous, a total invention, and sacked Davies. Years later, in Galloway's libel settlement against Mirror Group newspapers, Galloway's counsel announced that the MP accepted that the group staff had not been involved in his Vanunu's abduction. Galloway himself, however, referred to Maxwell as one of the worst criminals of the century. So it does seem to be like there are probably some evidence, and it would be worth digging into the original work, the people who first pointed out his claims. It says, these people right here who approached the news organizations. It looks like there's a link to some of these stories right here, the mystery of Maxwell's death. You can follow that article. But again, proving that Robert Maxwell was an agent of Israel doesn't prove that his daughter was an agent of Israel, and that doesn't prove that Epstein was an agent of Israel and the whole thing was, some Mossad plot. Well, look, I tried to open up a video from one of those links, and it's no longer available. Imagine that. Let's see what else we got here. Newsweek reporter calls reporting on Israel and Jewish organizations a third rail. All right, let me see what it says about Epstein and why this popped up. Okay, it says, a few of the stories involved President Trump and Chabad, the Hasidic outreach movement, Black Cube, a private intelligence firm that employs former agents of Israel's Mossad. Now, that's definitely a whole other video. We'll probably do a documentary eventually on the Black Cube because, yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on there. And Jeffrey Epstein, a Jewish financier and registered sex offender, right? So that's pretty much all it is. It just says that, and that popped up. I don't know why. I guess, we'll see. And this is from Above Top Secret. Could Mossad be using pedophilia perversion to control global politics through blackmail? Let's see. Okay, if there's actually anything about Epstein in here, we gotta look. Did this former Prime Minister Ehud Barak offer Weinstein help because of what Weinstein knew about him and the Lolita Express? Okay, this is just, I think it's more speculation. From the updated 2015 22-page detailed 2006 probable cause affidavit on Jeffrey Epstein, original 2006 probable cause affidavit, Ehud Barak, the former Prime Minister of Israel, pedophile being pandered underage girls by Epstein. So that's basically saying that this is, again, the former Prime Minister claim being involved with pedophilia and being connected to Epstein. I'm just going to search that guy's name and pedophilia and see what comes up real quick. Let's click back over here. There have been articles linking Jeffrey Epstein to Mossad and how the Mossad linked individuals, but again, I think those are the links we already looked at, and nobody so far has presented me with any conclusive hard evidence. Okay. Everything is, yeah. All right, let's keep going. Oh, we're almost done here, guys. I think you guys are getting what I'm finding here, that this is based on a lot of hearsay and assumptions, but also some truths, but nothing conclusive and nothing hard evidence. Wow, Epstein's name is 261 times in this document. What about Mossad? Okay, through AIPAC bribery and Mossad blackmail, virtually every U.S. politician in Congress, including the president, is and has been a puppet of the Zionist Jewish state. All right, let's see what else we find. All right, let me search Maxwell and see what pops up. That might be a little... Okay, her name pops up 26 times. Okay, for years prior, this is the Wexner connection again. Somebody was talking about Wexner's group, Wexner's mega group. An organization called the Mega Group provided a cover as a Zionist Mossad front actively influencing and dictating U.S. war policy. So I think that this will probably be one of the most important areas to look further into. And I will do this on my own separately, not on this video, because I'm not going to sit here for hours while I read. But this Jill Zane Maxwell, as well as the Wexner connection, that might be stronger than even saying that Jill Zane Maxwell's dad was an agent for Israel. There might be this Wexner connection, which actually proves to be stronger evidence of Epstein's ties to Israel or to Mossad. Jill Zane Maxwell and Sarah Kellen. Sarah Kellen is one of the girls that got away as well. Giselle Maxwell recruited her as a 15-year-old Trump Mar-a-Lago employee. Let's see. Let's keep going. Alright, guys. I'm not really finding anything conclusive. I'm finding, okay. In November 1991, most likely Maxwell's paid double found floating in the Canary Island water without, so he has a paid double. So now this one's saying that he didn't actually die. Daddy Maxwell was also mentioned on more than one occasion just prior to his alleged death, how he was planning to pull a disappearing act in order to escape fraud charges. So that could be the thing, is he faked his death in order to escape all those bankrupt charges and the fraud that we know that were leaked after he died, right? Potentially could be real. I don't know. We don't have hard evidence. This one looks like it might be worth reading more into. It's a long read from American Empire Exposed, but it might be worth checking out. And in the last link, we're going to look at Veterans Today. Again, I don't trust much of Veterans Today, but let's see what they've got here. Trump's ties to Mossad CIA pedophile ring. Okay, so editor's note. We broke a story. Let's look at Maxwell. Okay, child sex procurer Ghislaine Maxwell, Mossad asset father Robert Maxwell controlled much of Britain media at one time. Like I said, he did own an empire. He could influence people. Epstein and his Mossad asset Ghislaine Maxwell. You see how they just refer to it like that? There's no evidence. They just kind of keep referring to her in that way, like it's done, it's conclusive. But we don't know that. So I don't know, guys. I can't conclusively say it yet. I think that like I was just stating a moment ago, this might be worth looking further into. Her dad, Robert Maxwell, apparently does have some ties to Mossad, and maybe it was a family business, and so she was involved as well. Epstein seemed to be friends with former prime ministers, and yeah, see, former Prime Minister Ehud Barak was in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book. And I don't know if that means he was involved in pedophilia or anything like that. Let's just give that a good old Google search real quick just to double check and see if anything worth reading pops up. And then I'm going to wrap up, guys. It's been 30 minutes. You guys have been hanging out with me. I appreciate your support. If you like what I'm doing, you like my research, you want to help us keep exposing stories like this, please do consider signing up for as little as $1 a month on Patreon.com/Derrick Broze. Of course, you can always support us via crypto on bitbacker.io. All the links are in the description below this video. I don't say anything specifically about that guy being involved in pedophilia. Just the only thing really is that he was in the little black book, and a lot of people were, so we can't really conclusively say anything. I think this will probably be the most interesting thing to look further into and check out that Wexen connection and the Maxwell connection and see if there's anything there. I'll probably do that at some point. And Wexner, excuse me, Leslie Wexner. So that's the owner of Victoria's Secret, who is apparently connected to the Mossad as well. But that could also be very loose claims that don't add up to much of anything themselves. So I'm going to look into that, guys. We'll see what comes of it. But so far, I have to say that this is speculation. I can't conclusively say it's true. Robert Maxwell tied to the Mossad, but no evidence his daughter was. Maybe we should check out the Safari Club. Thanks, Reddit, for the tips. And let's see what we got here. These are my videos. So yeah, I did another one now. Did Trump ban Epstein from Mar-a-Lago? Is Epstein an agent of Israeli Mossad? Look out for that video coming soon. I think you guys can kind of guess what I'm going to say on that. But this is my research process, right? And if you want to see more of these, please let me know. Send me some topics that you want me to debunk or prove one way or the other. I don't have an agenda. I'm just trying to get to the truth. I will be looking into is 5G banned in Israel? Did 5G kill a bunch of birds? There's a few others that I see pop up here and there. So give me some ideas, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope this has made you think a little bit more critically and realize that the truth is not always black and white, and we need to be able to dig and find and back up the things we say if we're ever going to get to the real truth. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, you are free. Peace.